Are you intrigued by the things that go bump in the night? Have you ever gotten the heebie-jeebies when you pass by an old house? Ever desired to dance in a cemetery? Or even obsess over the dark and obscure? Well, me too. Hi, I'm Nicole, and strange topics are my specialty.
From the creators of the White Wednesday Radio Network and Lead Up Studios, this is The Dark with Nicole.
Alright, welcome back, my bats and baddies. I have missed you. Let's talk about some dark things, because that's all my mind has been on this week. All I want to do is watch horror movies and listen. Happy July, the month where I buy Discovery Plus for 1 week and 1 week only, and that's for Shark Week, baby. Literally my favorite week of the whole year.
Yes, always has been.
Yes, literally, it's just my favorite. Other, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Unless it's the Olympics, that's also one of my favorite things to watch. But obviously, few and far between. So guess what, guys? We're gonna talk about shark attacks this week. So let's talk about some death, because there's a lot of it.
My biggest fear, sharks.
I know.
I can literally think about them in bed and be afraid that I'm going to be attacked by
Oh my
shark.
gosh.
We used to joke about it in youth group about carpet sharks.
Let's talk about this real quick, because even at like the Y in the pools, I always thought, no, even though it's a pool, there's not going to be a shark, but I always had a big fear that a shark would just be there.
I still do when I lap swim.
Mm-hmm. Same. Like, there's just something there that's going to get me. I mean, in Wife Wednesday, we talked about or we didn't talk about it in Wife Wednesday, but we've talked about it today, about how I'm just afraid of what you can't see in the ocean.
Yes.
We were talking about cruises, and I was like, that's the one thing that would deter me, is being in open water, not being able to see underneath it. But also, I want to go whale watching.
Yeah.
Like, who am I? Literally. Like, come on. You can't have both.
No, you can't.
So, yeah. Irrational fears of sharks being where they definitely aren't going to be. Like Caskey's Lake.
Yes. Okay.
Yes!
I've never been.
Yeah.
But I'm afraid of anything else that could be in there too.
Yeah.
Plant life that
literally
brushes my feet.
I hate the feeling of like slime.
Yeah.
Between my toes before you get to the sand or pebble part or whatever.
Yes.
Like, hate it.
Yes.
All right, we're going to start with the top 10 most dangerous places for shark attacks.
I have one guess.
What?
Cape Town, South Africa.
Not on here.
Okay.
Yeah. So coming in at number 10 is Papua New Guinea, with 48 attacks since 1848. And then number 9 was South Carolina, 107 since 1837. Brazil had 107, but since 1931. California, in general, 29 attacks since 2012, but 130 since 1926.
Jesus.
Yeah. Brevard County, Florida, 155 attacks since 1882. Hawaii, 159 attacks since 1828, most being in Maui with 64 attacks. Queensland, Australia, 199 since 1700, 52 attacks since 1917. New South Wales, Australia, 267 attacks since 1700. Coming in at number 2. You kind of got it, because it's South Africa, 259 attacks since 1905.
Yeah.
And then coming in at number 1, Volusia County, Florida, 337 attacks since 1882.
Wow.
And here, all of Florida. This is just a extra bit. All of Florida. 895 attacks since 1882. All of Florida.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's several a year.
Yeah. Now we move into this, which is way more things. Attacks, fatalities.
Oh, okay.
Top 10 worst shark attacks in the world.
Oh my gosh. Oh my
And
god.
this is something that this is based from the last set of 10 facts were from 2021. It wasn't, those numbers were not up to today's date. Sorry. But that was to 2021. Wanted to put that out there. Okay. Top 10. One is USS Indianapolis in 1945. There were 879 fatalities. On July 30th, the U.S. cruiser Indianapolis was directed to sail from Guam to Leyte Gulf in the Philippines to join the battleship USS Idaho. Last night while I was doing this, I was like, USS Potato.
USS Potato.
In preparation for the invasion of Japan. She had just delivered the world's first atomic bomb to the island of Tinian 4 days earlier. Midday between Guam and Leyte, I'm not sure. She was torpedoed by a I-48 Japanese submarine and sank within minutes. There were 1,196 military personnel on board, and 900 made it into the water wearing life jackets. As dawn broke the next day, shoals of sharks appeared and started attacking the sailors. It was almost 5 days before they were spotted and rescued, and sharks attacked them even as rescuers were pulling them on board.
Oh my god.
Although nearly 600 men lost their lives to what is believed to be oceanic white-tip sharks, only 317 of the crew survived.
Oh my god.
Literally.
That was like the biggest shark attack ever. That's a feeding frenzy.
Yeah. And there's pictures for your viewing pleasure on there.
Oh. I'm going.
Just so you know.
Say less.
It's just pictures of the ship. Just so you know. I'm sorry. No, sorry.
I was like, are there going to be like bloody half bodies floating?
Sorry. Number 2, Cape San Juan, 1943. 825 fatalities. On the 12th of November, the Cape San Juan, a 6,711-ton U.S. freighter and troop transport ship, was torpedoed by the Japanese submarine I-21 in the Pacific Ocean near the Fiji Islands. The ship was sailing from San Francisco to Townsville, Australia, landed with 49 crew, 41 gunners, and 1,348 U.S. Army troops, totaling 1,438 people. 130 people were killed either when the torpedo struck or immediately afterward when they jumped overboard into the water and drowned. Rescue ships and planes plucked 483 survivors from the seas. It was reported that sharks were attacking the survivors even as the rescuers were trying to pull them out of the water. 695 people died trying to fight off sharks, most likely oceanic white tips.
I'm starting to to see connections.
Right? Number 3, Nova Scotia, South Africa. 750 fatalities. On November 28th, 1942, the British troop ship Nova Scotia was torpedoed by a U-boat 50 kilometers off Cape St. Lucia.
I think it'd be Lucia.
Is it Lucia? St. Lucia, South Africa. 750 troops perished, about a quarter of them taken by, what is that? Oceanic white-tip sharks.
My God.
Only 100.
A quarter of them.
I know. Only 92 survived. The Nova Scotia had been ferrying back and forth from Durban up the east coast of Africa to the Suez Canal. To the Suez Canal.
Is it Suez or
It's Suez?
Suez. That's so funny.
She was torpedoed by a German U-boat, 177, while carrying 134 British and South African guards, 650 Italian
prisoners of war.
That's why I was like, I know that. And then 118 crew on board. The ship sank just 7 minutes after the Germans fired 3 torpedoes, throwing the survivors into the shark-infested waters, where they had to desperately cling onto any floatsam they could.
So literally it'd be anything floating.
Yes. The German U-boat surfaced to try to discover what ship they had hit. It was dark where they were at the time when they got hit, and were greeted with mayhem. Hundreds of men were floundering in the water and screaming for help. Having received no orders to help, the Germans instead took 2 men from the water for intelligence reports, then dived away, leaving the rest to drown or be eaten by sharks. Another ship, the Alfonso de Albuquerque, came to their rescue the next day, but many were already dead. They safely plucked 190 from the water. Later, 2 survivors turned up on the shore, having floated on a raft without food or water for 2 weeks. Wow. Okay. 4. MV Dona Paz disaster. 4,375 fatalities.
Oh my God.
Apparently, the vast majority of the victims burned to death. However, 300 bodies were later recovered from the seas covered in shark bites. So there was huge shark involvement. The tragic event is considered the most fatal ferry disaster in history. On December 20th, the Dona Paz collided... 1987.
Wow.
Collided with the oil tanker MT Vector while en route from Layette Island to Manila in the Philippines. Both ships burst into flames after the Vector's cargo ignited. Within 4 hours, both ships had sunk. It was an incredible 8 hours before the authorities learned of the accident, and another 8 hours before aid was sent to the stricken area. Subsequent investigations revealed that the life jackets were in a locked cupboard. Locked, people. Neither ship had a radio or flares to send out distress signals. Furthermore, the Dona Paz was enormously overloaded. Originally designed to only carry 608 passengers, she was stuffed to the gunnels with at least 3,000 to 4,000 passengers.
Holy moly.
While over the official ship's manifest of 1,500. Coupled with the oil tanker having an expired license and untrained crew, the meeting of those 2 ships was a maritime disaster waiting to happen. It was discovered that an apprentice crew member was in charge of the bridge when the accident occurred, and the trained officers were either drunk or watching TV.
Oh my God.
After the explosion, those not caught in the blast had to flee their lives by jumping overboard into shark-infested waters of the Tabla Strait. Many burned in the waters, which by this time were also alight.
Because of the oil.
Yes. There were only 26 survivors, 24 passengers from the ferry, and 2 members of the crew from the oil tanker. Could you, imagine? Obviously they were into a world of ocean violations.
Literally.
Yes. I could I don't know. There's like a picture of the vessel and I'm like, are those all people that you can see on there?
Oh
Possibly,
no, it's
like,
not clear enough.
that's what I was thinking. But I'm like, wow. Just wow.
Literally.
All right. HMS Birkenhead, 1852. 440 fatalities. On February 26th, the Birkenhead sank after striking an uncharted submerged rock off Danger Point, South Africa. On board were 643 people, mainly British and Irish soldiers, and some of their wives and children. On their long journey from Portsmouth, England, they had stopped at Simonstown near Cape Town to pick up fresh supplies. Most of the women and children left the ship, as did several sick soldiers. They picked up 9 cavalry horses at Simonstown on February 25th, left on the final leg of their journey to Port Elizabeth, South Africa, with around 630 people on board. In the early hours of the morning, tragedy struck when the ship hit a rock. Water flooded into the forward compartment of the lower troop deck, drowning at least 100 soldiers in their hammocks as they slept. The captain, Robert Salmond, ordered the evacuation of the ship, but only 5 of the ship's 7 lifeboats could be floated. The 2 larger boats, each capable of carrying 150 men, were swamped and unusable. The soldiers stood in line without being asked, allowing the women and children to enter the working lifeboats. The expression "women and children first" originated from this selfless act. The bravery of these soldiers set a new maritime disaster protocol, even though not until 8 years later in 1860. As the ship sank, the soldiers and horses were thrown into the sea 3 miles from land, and in the middle of the night, 8 horses and 193 people survived this disaster. Sharks took the rest as they tried to swim to shore. Swim 3 miles to shore. They were only 3 miles. Like, you could probably...
I know, but that's an insane amount.
It
swimming.
Is. Oh,
yeah.
I'm not... Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But you can see 3 miles from the shore.
Yeah.
And, like, they're just watching. Like... If
watching
it's not
the people
dark.
around you get pulled down.
Yeah.
Fear.
Literally, yes.
Literally, my toes tingle.
All right. 4 more, or 5 more.
Death.
Italian liner Principessa Maldalfa in 1926, 295 fatalities. On October 25th, the luxury Italian cruise liner Principessa Maldalfa sank 90 miles off the coast of Albaros Island while heading to Porto Seguro, Brazil. Many of its 971 passengers were Italian immigrants on their way to start a new life in Brazil and Argentina. The tragedy was caused when a propeller shaft broke, allowing a huge amount of seawater into the engine room. The sudden inrush of cold water caused boilers to explode. Despite being fatally crippled, the Principessa Maldalfa stayed afloat for another 4 hours, allowing other ships in the area to come to their aid. Many passengers and crew were safely plucked from both the waters and the lifeboats, but those who feared another explosion abandoned ship. Many lost their lives to sharks that quickly appeared in the seas around the stricken ship. While the ship finally went down, only the captain remained on board.
He went down with the ship.
Went down with the ship.
Okay, this next title.
I know. Look at the picture below. Pig basket atrocities. 200 fatalities.
Jesus.
In 1942 in Indonesia, 200 captured Allied soldiers were squeezed into 3-foot-long bamboo pig baskets in Sarabia. East Java. The baskets were then loaded onto trucks and driven to the railway station, where they were loaded onto open goods wagons. From there, the soldiers were transported to the coast, half dead from thirst and heat stroke. They were loaded onto boats that sailed out to shark-infested waters, where they were thrown overboard to be eaten alive.
Holy shit.
The commander-in-chief of the Japanese forces in Java was later court-martialed and sentenced to 10 years in jail by the Australian military court for his part in what became known as the pig basket atrocities.
That's awful.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
All right. 2 ships collide in Singapore in 1909 and caused 101 fatalities. On December 14th, the French steamer...
November.
What did I say? December again?
Mm-hmm.
November 14th. The French steamer La Seine collided with British India steamship co-liner Onda in Rio Strat. Okay, this picture is a picture of the map that is supposedly supposed to have where they collided, but I couldn't find it. I don't know if it's that thing up at the top left or what. Rio Strat, Rio Archipelago near Singapore, 26 miles from land. Thick fog had prevented their ship from seeing the other. The smaller French vessel sank within 2 minutes of the collision. The crew of the Onda rescued just 61 passengers and crew from the stricken 1,142-ton steamer. Many of the survivors were badly mauled by the huge shoal of sharks that circled in the water. A total of 101 people died by shark attack, including the French skipper Joseph. Yes. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name.
It's spelled Coulailhac.
And it's French. So honestly.
Yeah, it could be like Kulak.
Yeah. All right. 9. Cherubim Atrocity, 1945. 90 fatalities. In July of 1945, in northern Java off Cirebon, 90 European civilians, mostly men
she can't read, guys. That's fine.
Women and children, were taken out to sea at dusk on a Japanese submarine's deck, while it was well offshore and in deep waters, just at the time of day when sharks like feeding best. The submarine suddenly dived, leaving her passengers to drown or be eaten by sharks in the water. One sole survivor told his tale to fishermen who rescued him, but he died shortly afterwards from his injuries. The sharks had taken off his arm and a foot. The fishermen duly reported this atrocity as a war crime after the war was over, but neither the submarine nor the commanders responsible were investigated. They went unpunished because the Japanese destroyed all documents. I don't know why they put that picture with it. That's not a submarine. But literally, they just loaded women and children onto the submarine deck and then dove.
Yeah.
With them still on the deck.
Yeah.
To kill them.
Literally.
Like.
Because women and children are the future. So
how else
can you attack?
We cannot have
That's
that.
Literally the worst.
All right. Last one. And it's a shorty. HMS Valerian, Bermuda. 88 fatalities. In 1926, the British naval ship HMS Valerian capsized in a hurricane in Stagg's Channel 5 miles off Dockyard, Bermuda. As the sailors hung on the life rafts for dear life, sharks pulled some of them off into the water, where they were bitten and chewed in a shark feeding frenzy. 88 crew members died in the heavy seas, mainly Many likely from shark attacks. Rescue boats managed to pull just 20 survivors from the water.
That's crazy. So maybe we won't do a
But
cruise.
listen. I know. Like, this is what keeps me from going on a cruise. Because, yes, you're more likely to get struck by lightning or get hit by a car than to be attacked by a shark.
Yeah, but Therese was hit by a car, so she's already taken that statistic.
She's already taken that statistic.
So we've got struck by lightning or bit by a shark. And neither one sound pleasant.
No, neither one do. Neither one at all.
I saw this TikTok just the other day,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a woman had been bitten by a shark. She was as she was being pulled out of the water. She was like, "I still don't hate sharks."
Oh
she
my
was yelling, like, "Don't kill it!"
Like, it's an animal. It's doing its animal-like thing.
Like, you're
it's
in
not
its
like
environment.
Yeah.
So, like,
I watched one of the horror movies I watched Friday was Deep Blue Sea. It's one of my favies.
That's not the one with Samuel L. Jackson.
Yes, it is.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah.
Then I know what movie it is.
Yeah,
I've actually seen it.
The three smart sharks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
One of my favorites.
So along the line of sharks, but
Yeah.
not actually sharks, because orcas
Oh, orcas. Yes.
are terrifying.
They are
almost
very
worse than
terrifying.
sharks.
Oh, yeah. They attack sharks.
They attack sharks. They've also been noted. I saw a video on this that they are recognizing fishing ships
Mm-hmm.
and that they're going after vessels.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
They're literally trying to sink
I was watching
vessels.
orcas try to sink this ship on a TikTok.
Yeah. Because that's what they do now.
Yes.
Because they're like, wow, humans are the problem.
Yeah, we are
These
the problem.
we are.
We are the
Humanity
problem.
is the plague. I've said this since COVID.
Yeah.
Like, COVID wasn't the problem. It's humans.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think about orcas and sharks more often than I should,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
especially when swimming.
Oh, yeah.
Because like, I never want to actually like be next to them in open water, but I would love to be next to one in a
Yes.
tank.
Literally, not even a
To
tank.
solidify my feelings that those things are big and they will eat me.
I know.
I just want to.
Like, I just want free viewage of inside the ocean.
Yeah.
Like, put some lights in there, please.
Yes, please.
I want to see. Put some lights in there, please.
Why don't we just make like a water drone
Yes.
and like
I mean, they have those.
for a subscription fee?
God,
like,
yes.
like this would be only fish or something. You can like take control of it for a little bit and like swim around
Yes.
and find places. and-
This is literally why Shark Week is one of my favorite weeks, because they're the things that I'm terrified, but I can watch them from the safety of my living room.
Yes, where only the carpet sharks can get you.
Exactly. Called Wednesday.
Yeah.
Literally,
Yeah.
all she does is attack my feet. while I
Saint
work.
Bootsy loves to attack feet.
Yeah. Well, good luck on your cruises. Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to The Dark, a Wife Wednesday Radio Network production. Our executive producer is Dustin from the Lead Up Studios team in St. Louis, Missouri. Be sure to like, follow, and share us with your friends on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and more by searching Wife Wednesday. You can find The Dark on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and more.